Zulu to perform a final state machine review.
Dragon copies, 1110 Zulu for undocking departure time.
And we just heard some comms between the SpaceX core or the crew operations resource engineer on the ground at SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne, California, and Axiom Mission 4 Commander Peggy Woodson currently on board the Dragon Grace spacecraft. They did confirm that undock today is going to be delayed by about 10 minutes. Planning for the undock command to now be sent at 6:10 a.m. Central, 7:10 a.m. Eastern, which would put a physical separation from station at 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern, and this is to allow some final configuration and also to improve the communications between the ground due to some loss of signals that are planned from the original undock time. And the undock window for today does run for about an hour, so the latest that the undock command can be sent is 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern, so there's still plenty of margin to continue through the undocking procedure today. So after the undock command is sent at 6:10 a.m. Central, 7:10 a.m. Eastern to begin the autonomous sequence, the first step in that sequence will be for the umbilicals to retract. These umbilicals connect Dragon's system to the space station and transfer power, telemetry, and commands between the two vehicles during Dragon's stay. And then once those umbilicals have retracted, Dragon will unlatch itself from the space station by releasing the 12 hard capture hooks in two separate phases, 6 hooks each. All of that combined will take roughly 4.5 minutes to complete, and then Dragon will be ready to depart from the space station and begin to push itself further and further away by using its thrusters. Again, that physical separation is now planned for 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern. Well, it's been a busy morning here in Mission Control Houston. In anticipation of today's undocking, the Axiom Mission 4 crew has also been busy on board the station today and over the past few days preparing for their return home. Over the last several days, the astronauts worked to pack Dragon full of cargo for the return journey. Along with the Axiom Mission 4 crew, Dragon will return with more than 580 pounds of cargo and science back to Earth. This cargo includes 60 scientific experiments, some hardware, and other items. All of this cargo will then get offloaded after the SpaceX recovery teams get the crew out following splashdown. Again, that splashdown is targeted for tomorrow, July 15th. And then once the cargo is offloaded, the scientific samples will be sent to researchers for final analysis. Ahead of hatch closure earlier this morning, again, which took place at 4:07 a.m. Central, 5:07 a.m. Eastern. The crew also took time to get into their SpaceX launch and entry suits. They got those all unpacked and ready for the journey home, and then they suited up. Once they were suited up, that hatch closure took place, and then a depressurization of the vestibule occurred. The vestibule is the area between the Dragon hatch and the APAS hatch on station. This depressurization process lasted about an hour to bring the vestibule down to vacuum in preparation of Dragon's departure, and then a series of leak checks were conducted. During the hatch close operations earlier this morning, the teams also configured what is known as the Big Loop, and this is an integrated communications loop with NASA's Mission Control team here in Houston, along with SpaceX's Mission Control team in Hawthorne, the crew on board the International Space Station, and the Axiom Mission 4 crew currently inside the Dragon Grace spacecraft. This big loop allows for fully integrated communications with Dragon as the crew undocks and makes its way back to Earth. Again, we're targeting that undocking to take place at 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern, with the undock command sent 5 minutes before that at 6:10 a.m. Central, 7:10 a.m. Eastern. Again, we are continuing to stand by for the go, no-go poll. This final poll will take place between the joint NASA and SpaceX teams to ensure all mission managers and flight controllers are prepared for today's undocking and that the International Space Station and Dragon systems are all configured and ready to support the operational activities that will lead to the departure of the Axiom Mission 4 crew, wrapping up an 18-day docked mission aboard the International Space Station. And there on your screen, you're currently seeing a live view inside the Dragon spacecraft. The Dragon spacecraft docked to the space station's Harmony module, the space-facing port of the Harmony module, on June 26th. This over-the-shoulder view is in between Commander Peggy Whitson and pilot Shubhanshu Shukla. Again, the crew got suited up a couple of hours ago during those hatch close operations. They will remain in their suits through the undocking and departure activities today. Once they exit the approach ellipsoid, which is one of the invisible boundaries around the International Space Station that governs visiting vehicles, the crew will begin to take off those suits and get comfortable for their 22.5-hour journey home. They will then put those suits back on just ahead of the deorbit and entry phase of their flight tomorrow morning. Since launching to the International Space Station on June 25th, the crew has spent a total of 20 days in space. 18 of those days were spent docked to the International Space Station conducting research and outreach activities. Commander Peggy Whitson, and also a former NASA astronaut, following this mission and splashdown tomorrow morning, will have spent 695 days in space across 5 flights, which places her 7th on the all-time list for cumulative days in space. Again, we are continuing to stand by for that final go, no-go poll. For those of you who are just joining us, we are providing live coverage of the Axiom Mission 4 undocking and departure activities. The undocking is now slated to take place at 6:15 a.m. Central with physical separation, 7:15 a.m. Eastern. Following that separation, there will be a series of departure burns. After the second departure burn, known as Depart Burn 1, Dragon will then exit the keep-out sphere. That will take place around 6:21 a.m. Central, 7:21 a.m. Eastern. About 13 minutes after that keep-out sphere exit will be the approach ellipsoid exit around 6:34 a.m. Central, 7:34 a.m. Eastern, which will set Dragon and the Axiom Mission 4 crew back on their journey home to Earth. And we're currently going through a brief but expected handover between satellites. This causes a loss of signal from station and the Dragon cameras. But currently on your screen, you see a dual view